is discussed?
There were two other matters discussed. In my statement, I later deal with the Madondo Kumalo and the Masiamula Kumalo arrests, which are two separate issues. Advocate Johnson in that meeting indicated that irrespective of what Advocate Schlatzweiler and I had presented to her in July already, those matters will be enrolled.
And we see there you have 3 bullet points. The second bullet point on your note says CI IDAC equals is the state capture. And then the next bullet, circumvented in an arrow in anticipation of. What was she discussing there?
Advocate Johnson was telling Advocate Serenia, Advocate Schlatzweiler and myself that the crime intelligence investigation done by IDAC is actually state capture, and that's the reason IDAC was created, formed, and that these matters, these specific matters, were state capture, and she kept repeating state capture. With regards to circumvented, she's speaking about the promotions and the ads being withdrawn with regards to the Mokwele matter and then re-advertised externally. So circumvented meaning that, and it was in anticipation of, and then there was an explanation that Brigadier Mokwele's father works for the Hawks and that he was charged for trying to bribe another official.
What was said to be the relevance of her father's employment in the Hawks and being charged?
What was they were trying to explain here was that the quid pro quo would then be equated to the fact that General Kumalo was giving gratification to Brigadier Mokwele's father by appointing her.
And there's a reference to, it says there's a docket that relates to her father, and then it says uncle and Labia. What is the reference to Labia? Is that General Labia?
Yes, there's a docket that relates to her uncle. It's supposed to be a slash or father, and the docket is with General Labia, or they're going to obtain the docket through General Labia.
And if we then go to page 77.
Before you leave that page, the entry at page 74 still, the entry right at the top, what is that about? What does it say?
The first entry with the dot under the names, and we need to finalize the charge sheet, Kumalo matter.
And that's a different matter to the Mokwele matter?
It's the same matter. It was referred to as the Kumalo matter, or we referred to it as the Kumalo matter, being myself, Advocate Schlatzweiler, and Advocate Sirunya.
And this is on the 1st of September. It's a
Correct.
meeting on so at this point, there was no finalized charge sheet yet. And yet they have been arrested. Can you just explain what happened?
After Advocate Sirunya came on board and he was listening to us and we were explaining that there's no crime of corruption, he also picked it up when he read it. And that's how the second charge sheet, it was at this point that the second charge sheet of Section 21, conspiracy, was drafted.
What Advocate Sirunya referred to as the amended charge sheet,
Correct.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, correct.
I see. Thank you.
And on page 77, there's another entry in reference to the charge sheet. So at the bottom of the page, just before the arrow that says Mokwele's docket, it says, I can't see the first word, it says just have to beef up charge sheet in equal corruption. 77.
We just have to.
Do you see it?
Yes. Beef up charge sheet, equal corruption, Mokwele's docket.
So part of the discussion here was to beef up the Mokwele charge sheet to the corruption charge in the Mokwele charge sheet.
With regards to this conversation, it was more the investigators telling the prosecutors what evidence is there to beef up the charge sheets to prove corruption.
Okay, and then if because we have dealt with this aspect quite extensively on these discussions, I want to go to a different aspect that was discussed at that meeting on page 80.
Yes?
Sort of towards the end of the page, there's a reference to IGI, page 45 to 75, part 2 report.
Correct.
What is that?
Commissioner Beloy asked me a question last week about IGI, whether an IGI meeting took place. So in order for us to understand this paragraph, I need to explain the first meeting and then this. So in January, Mr. Sissoko arranged for a meeting at IGI. We had a meeting with Advocate J. Govender and another member of the IGI legal team. Where they indicated, yes, they were tasked to do an investigation, but they cannot share their findings with us because of their mandate and the fact that they are regulated by a different act. And their reporting lines are very different. So, in essence, there was some words exchanged. So Advocate Govender was addressing me through the meeting. We were discussing, I asked her how many different crime intelligence matters, etc. So she did indicate that they are in the process, they are consulting with witnesses based on certain complaints. She was unable to give me any witness names. She explained safety as well as different mandates. So Mr. Perumal got agitated to a point where Advocate Govender even said to him, your cowboy tactics is not going to work on these cases. We left that meeting. I did say it was a fruitless meeting because we couldn't assist them and they couldn't assist us.
Sorry, you couldn't and they couldn't assist you. What was the purpose of the meeting when you went there?
With IGI, like with other investigations that had been completed previously during the Zondo Commission period, they are able to assist because the report has been completed. But because this was still in the process of investigations, sharing of information could not take place. So, Commissioner and Chair, we left that meeting and Mr. Perumal then wanted to arrest Advocate Govender for Section 34 for not willing to assist us. And there was this whole thing where I had to pull out the IGI Act and explain to him that they have their own. But that's just on a side note. But it was just to give you an explanation of how things were being done.
Can I just interject this? So this is the meeting that Mr. Sissoko also testified about that he attended.
Correct, in January 2025.
And did you obtain any documents at that stage?
No, nothing was shared with us.
And the discussion was about crime intelligence investigations, current investigations that the IGI was investigating?
Correct.
Okay.
Based on complaints that they had received.
Okay, so you leave that meeting and you did report back to Advocate Johnson saying that it was a fruitless meeting and she says she's not surprised.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And then we now in September.
So we in September and Mr. Perumal is explaining various things about how Advocate Schlatzwayo, Advocate Seruni, and myself are not understanding the evidence of the Mokwele docket. He then tells us that the minister, being Minister Mkunu, arranged for someone to fly to Eastern Cape to him and provide the IGI reports.
And this is the IGI report that was prepared in respect of the crime intelligence investigations undertaken by the IGI,
Correct.
which you were told at the time in January they were still busy with investigations.
Correct. And my understanding of those reports is someone very high up has to approve that we share that information.
Okay, so what Mr. Perumal communicated in that meeting was that Minister Mkunu arranged for someone to fly that report, a hard copy of that report, to Mr. Perumal in the Eastern Cape.
Correct.
And the IGI had given that report to the minister.
Correct.
And in terms of what legislation or powers did the IGI give that report to the minister? Was there an explanation as to, was it commissioned by the minister, a report commission or investigation commissioned by the minister?
It's unclear. I just know that that report was not supposed to come to us in that way.
Okay, do you know it wasn't supposed to come to IDAC via the minister?
Correct.
Okay, and why do you say that?
Because the IGI, I had read the act prior to going to have the meeting with Advocate Govender.
In January?
In January. There's certain procedures and processes that must be followed in order for that information sharing. I had also spoken to Advocate Lowe, the deputy director who's retired now. He was dealing with a matter that IGI and him, or that team, were sharing information. There were channels that had to be followed in order for that information to be shared.
And did Mr. Perumal say whether Advocate Johnson was aware that he had gotten the report from the minister?
Yes, in my notes, there's, in one of the notes, there is a note, just a note down that says Dylan must call IG. But in this meeting, Mr. Perumal indicated very clearly that the ID is aware that the minister has arranged for this report to be flown to me.
Okay, I'll ask you to find that reference during the lunch adjournment, but for now, so that is what he tells you about how he got the report.
Correct.
And does he say anything else about the report in that meeting? Because you have a reference that says page 45 to 75. I would assume that's page 45 to 75 of the report.
Correct. It's even part, he's even telling us which part of the report is relevant. Mr. Perumal then WhatsApps me the IGI report.
If we can go to page 600 first, and you tell us what. Why you took a photograph of this? File 10, part 2. This is a photograph of a letter dated 2 April 2025 addressed to the minister.
Correct.
And it's on the letterhead of the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence. Before you read the letter, can you tell us why you took a photo of this letter?
I sent it to the evidence leaders to show that we are in possession of an IGI report and all the correspondence, or the correspondence that's attached to it.
Okay, can you read the letter into the record, and then I'll ask, then we can go to the WhatsApp where you received the report.
It's addressed to Minister E.S. Mkunu, MP, Honorable Minister of Police. Dear Minister Mkunu, investigations on matter of crime intelligence in terms of Section 7, subsection 7C of the Intelligence Services Oversight Act 1994, Act 40 of 1994 Oversight Act. Our correspondence dated 24 March 2024 regarding the above subject matter refers.
Just
That
to,
date
I
must
think
be
it should be
25.
2025, yes. But it's not, you're not the author,
I'm not the
but it
author.
makes sense that it be 2025. Continue.
In said correspondence, we appraised the Minister on the progress made in respect of the investigation and the outstanding interviews with specific officials from Crime Intelligence Division of the South African Police Services, SAPS-CI. We were advised on the 27th of March 2025 from the Chief Financial Officer, CFO, of SAPS-CI would not be available for an interview on the scheduled date due to prior planned leave and would be available on the 8th of April 2025. Based on the foregoing, we are unable to meet our envisaged date of 4 April 2025 to conclude this investigation without the critical contribution of the above-mentioned official.
And who was the official, the CFO, that was being referred to?
It would be Mr. Lushaba.
Where is the rest of the letter?
I have brought the documents.
Chair,
Sorry?
the witness brought the document this morning with the report. We still need to discuss with the NPA releasing allowing us to use the report. It's the first time anyone has had sight of the report, and she brought hard copies. She didn't send an electronic version. She had received it via WhatsApp as well. This was just the photograph that she had taken initially to show us that she does have it. But she's brought it this morning with her. We will then deal with the I think there's a page 2 which has the signature and
Yes,
a short
correct.
note, so we'll deal with it then during the
So
lunch adjournment.
The report is the letter.
We have this is the covering letter, and there is a 77-page report.
I'm asking about the letter. The letter is incomplete.
Yes, there's a second page, so she just took a photo
Okay,
of the first page, but she's brought the covering letter with both pages and the report itself.
Okay.
Yes. We can go to page 601, which is then the WhatsApp where you receive it, and this would have been, let me just get the correct page. It's not 601, it's 612. Just bear with me, 609.
609.
Chair.
Ms. Ngube, you will guide, because you're dealing with the report, you will guide whether this question can be answered or is subject to you getting approval. My question is, you've looked at the report. What was the complaint that the IGI was investigating? And I'm happy for you not to answer if it falls under you need to get consent from the NPA. Is it one of those?
I think I would rather, once I get consent, then I'd be able to explain. But at this point, because the report and I don't have the authorization from the NDPP, if I mean, reserve that.
All right, that's fine. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. We'll sort that out during the lunch adjournment. The second page of the letter reads paragraph 5. In this regard, it would be appreciated if we could present our report containing findings and recommendations on Thursday, 10 April 2025. 6, thank you for your attention and consideration of our request. Yours sincerely, it's signed by Mr. I. Faisal, Inspector General of Intelligence. And then it says investigations on matters of crime intelligence, investigation of alleged irregularities pertaining to procurement of buildings, validity of recruitment process, and security clearance of senior member of South African Police Service, crime intelligence SAP-CI. That was the investigation, Chair, but the report hasn't yet been perused until we've dealt with the issues with the NPA. So if we can then go to page 609, this is where you received, this is after the meeting of 1 September where Mr. Perumal tells you how he got the report. And we can see 2 September, this is from him to you at 1451, IGI report PDF, 77 pages. We can confirm that the covering letter is 2 pages and the report is 75 pages.
Correct.
Okay. Now, back to that meeting. He references page 45 to 75, and he must have then had a discussion with you as to what 45 to 75 contains, what it deals with.
It dealt with the appointments and vetting aspects, yeah.
In respect of the matters that IDAC was also investigating?
Portions, yes.
Portions, so more than what IDAC was investigating, or was IDAC investigating more than what the IG was investigating? Or were they identical?
I can't pinpoint exactly how, but I do remember that Advocate Sarunya, myself, and Advocate Schlatzweiler read the report, and Advocate Sarunya also sent an email based on it saying, I read the IGI report and it takes us no further.
And insofar as the IGI report is concerned, we know now that Mr. Perumal gets it through the Office of the Minister.
Correct.
And you say that you know that we're not IDAC is not supposed to get it that way. How were you going to use the report if it was beneficial or if it was corroborative of IDAC's investigation? Was there a discussion about that?
It's the same thing as the email that's subject heading secret, where somehow, some way, Mr. Perumal got, I think it's General Particular's disciplinary assessment report on all the, so it's the Mokwele and the 6 others. So when he emailed it to us, the subject was secret. And so the discussion stemmed that it was going to be used for intelligence purposes, but prosecutors don't use things for intelligence purposes. And I think that's also what stemmed Advocate Surunya's email saying it takes this case no further.
But when he was discussing the report, because you hadn't seen it at that stage, but he was discussing it, was Mr. Perumal saying that it is supportive of IDAC's investigation and the charges that you were pursuing against the crime intelligence officials?
His words were, it's golden.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It was?
Was in support of.
Do you know if Advocate Sarunya also got the IG report?
Yeah, what happened was when, because Advocate Sarunya doesn't like WhatsApp, so it was WhatsApp to me and then printed. So we printed 3 copies for the 3 advocates to work off.
Okay, and so after he then perused that, he said doesn't take the matter any further?
It takes the case no further, yes.
Okay. Then I'd like to move on to,
Maybe before you move off this, you say in the past you have had cooperation with the IGI office in other matters.
Correct.
Ordinarily, what is the process for you to get that cooperation and to get their reports?
It must
for
be
your people?
finalized.
How does it work?
The report must be finalized.
Yes.
And then it must be given to the authority that controls the IGI or requested me, the president, the minister's office or whatever. But that report is only supposed to be released once it's finalized. And then there's mutual legal assistance that we would then sit and discuss, okay, portions of this, guys, we're going to have to redact, you can't use it, we cannot disclose it to you. Portions we can disclose in terms of just for you to guide where you might possibly want to go for your investigations, but it would never be the full report. And it would only be the finalized report.
So just to make sure that I understand, in the normal course, this report that you end up getting by WhatsApp, you say in normal proper course, it would have come from the IGI to whoever is the authority that the IGI reports to, be it the president or the minister responsible for the IGI. And then it would go to IDEC directly or to the Minister of Justice, Minister of Police. I just want to understand how Minister Mkunu would, if things were done properly, how he would end up with this report. To your knowledge, from your experience.
From the way, because the only other matter that's getting assistance from IGI is under advocate law. So when I was going, because I was walking in blindly, I had not dealt with the IGI previously. So when I asked for assistance on how it works, it's a confidential document or a top secret document. It also has to be declassified before it comes to us. So this document was not declassified. It's still in its raw confidential or top secret form.
That's contrary to how it's normally done in the normal course. It would have had to be declassified for you to look at it,
Correct.
to be able to work with it.
Correct. And there needs to be, so like I was explaining, in the mutual legal assist, you would then agree, paragraph 4, guys, we're redacting. Paragraph 5, you may use for this purposes. I'm not disclosing these witnesses.
Thank you.
Just explain this in your discussion with Mr. Perumal. What did he say you must do with this report? Because he's sharing it with you on WhatsApp. Did he say you must read it and then what? Assist you in your prosecution of the ongoing matters?
Commissioner, the way it was explained to Advocate Surunya, Advocate Shlatswaya, and myself, it was after we read it, the advocates will have a better understanding of what we're supposed to prosecute in the Mokwele docket.
I see. But you say this was a draft, it was not final? Or
It was
had not been sent to the relevant people who were supposed to get it, whether they are a minister or a relevant body?
All I know is that the minister sent the report that IGI refused to give us to Mr. Peruma. And in terms of the act and the mutual legal assistance that we usually, it's not proper procedure.
Thank you.
And it's being shared on WhatsApp.
And did I hear you to say the minister gave it to somebody who went and delivered it to Mr. Perumal?
Mr. Perumal's words during the meeting on the 1st and then repeated on the 2nd was that the minister made arrangements for someone to fly with the report to meet him in Eastern Cape or East London to hand the report to him.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you. I now want to deal with the bail amendment and the application, the bail appeal. on the
Section
Mokwele
63.
matter. Yes. So when Advocate Sarunia gave evidence, he explained that he was involved in that process. You were also involved in that process. What we want to understand was what was Advocate Johnson's involvement in that process and the decision-making by Advocate Johnson during that process. Now, we know that there was an application by the accused to amend the bail conditions insofar as, particularly the one that we're interested in, is the bail condition that they were not to enter into any crime intelligence offices throughout the country.
Correct.
That formed part of a bail application in terms of Section 63.
Correct.
And you had a discussion with Advocate Johnson about that application?
So Advocate Johnson was on the phone or Teams comms with Mr. Beluchin, Mr. Padiachi, and Mr. Perumal. And I was contacted by Advocate Johnson's PA that I must come in urgently. They were also looking for Advocate Schlatzwayo, but it was lunchtime, and I think I was the only one in the office at the time, of the three of us. So when I got there, I stood at the door of Advocate Johnson's office, and she instructed that we must oppose the Section 63. And that we must start drafting. And then a few minutes, I think it was maybe half an hour later, she sent a WhatsApp to me saying,
Can we go to that WhatsApp?
Yes, please.
Page 610 of file 10, part 2.
Thank you. Brief Peter and tell him what I have requested.
Just wait first.
Sorry.
610, 9 September 2025, the message from Advocate Johnson at 1:11.
So this is after I was called into the office and told. And then Advocate Johnson WhatsApps me, brief Peter and tell him what I have requested. Does he agree? I reply, I will. He has stepped out for lunch as soon as he is back.
Sorry, it's not your fault this time, but could you just move closer to them and raise your voice because there's sound from above. I will. He has stepped out for lunch as soon as he is back.
To which he replied at 13:12, okay. After a conversation with, it was about a 2-hour, maybe an hour and a half, conversation between Advocate Schlatzwayo, Advocate Surunya, and myself. We even pulled out the CPA commentaries, and we were researching this instruction. And so I sent Advocate, so after this discussion, I asked Advocate Surunya whether I must inform Advocate Johnson, and he said yes. And then I sent a message saying, Advocate Johnson, we have discussed the Section 63. We do not have legal grounds to justify the application. We have done reading on CPA and commentary based on the current circumstances. Her reply is noted.
When you say we don't have legal grounds to justify the application, do you mean your opposition to the application?
Correct.
Okay. So she says noted, and then what happens thereafter?
On the 11th, my apologies. On the 11th of September, because Advocate Surunya doesn't have WhatsApp, on the 11th of September, Advocate Johnson sends me a message at 19:18 evening. I want to see you, Peter, and Joy in my office tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Peter doesn't have WhatsApp, so I can't message him. I reply, evening, Advocate Johnson, noted, I will call him and advise him. She says, thanks.
Then page 611 deals with a different aspect where you're telling her about the Lushaba bail conditions, right? And she's telling you that Advocate Mshololo must go through Peter and all of that.
Correct, yes.
At the bottom of that page, 6 11, she says, why is she asking you? She must ask a client. And then you says, but we will discuss in the morning. This is in the morning because she's asked to meet with you,
At 8:30.
Mr. Sarunya and Advocate Lachwayo in the morning.
Correct.
Then at 6:12, you can continue there. This is still the evening of the 12th at the top.
Noted, thank you. I have spoken to Advocate Sarunya and informed him.
And this is in reference to the, Advocate Mshololo, that you say, I've spoken to Advocate Sarunya and informed him.
Correct.
Okay. So then on the 13th,
On the 13th at 16:48, Advocate Johnson sends me a message, Droof. I have read the supplementary prepared by Brian. It's very good. I expect all prosecutors to meet tomorrow and make sure everything is sorted and that arguments are ready. Kindly inform Peter and Joy. I know it's Sunday and I will give each of you time off for putting in time tomorrow. I will also try and come to the office to see how things are going. I reply, afternoon, Advocate Johnson, I will inform both and request that I join either via Teams or WhatsApp. I had my mom for the weekend.
okay, then you say, she says, sorry to hear, let them do a Teams meeting because all three need to be on the same page, please. Thank you.
Correct.
Is this still about the bail or this is Lushaba now? At 6:12.
So the messages that Advocate Johnson was sending were about the Section 63, us opposing the Section 63. But in that time, Advocate Mshololo had contacted me and asked for Mr. Lushaba's bail conditions for the second matter, the Mokwele matter. So because Advocate Johnson doesn't allow us to speak to the attorneys on these matters without informing her, I had screen grab and sent it to her.
But the meeting that she called for was for the bail amendment application that she wanted to meet with you, the three of you, and you had expressed the view that there was no legal grounds in respect of the application. She then wanted to meet anyway, and at that she wanted, based on the affidavit of Mr. Pariachi, she wanted the prosecution team to oppose the application.
Correct.
Okay, and then did you meet on the 14th, Sunday, the 14th of September?
I joined on Teams, so did Mr. Perumal, Mr. Padiachi, Advocate Sarunya, and Advocate Schlatzwayo met at the boardroom in VGM, our head office.
And Advocate Johnson was part of that meeting?
She did not attend.
Okay, so she wanted the three of you to prepare the application or to prepare the opposition to the amendment application?
Correct.
Okay, and you had to do that based on Mr. Pariachi's supplementary?
If I may just explain what was happening at that time. If the commissioners will remember, Chair, the bail application for Mr. Lushaba was postponed to the following week because of the magistrate indicated it was the Schedule 6, and because the affidavit said Schedule 5, there was basically no application before him. So the following week, Advocate Schlatzwayo and myself attended to the bail application of Mr. Lushaba. It was before another magistrate. When Advocate Schlatzwayo read into record all the bail conditions that were imposed on the other 6, the magistrate had said specifically, I am not going to jump onto that boat. In essence, what that magistrate did was suspend the 6 accused prior to the employee even being involved. And so he refused to grant that. And when it was reported to Advocate Johnson and Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi, Advocate Schlatzwayo and I were hauled over the coals because according to them, we should have insisted it was. So it was at that point that I spoke up saying, but the magistrate is right. And later on, even with the discussions, I did indicate earlier I was voted off the team because I bared the view that we cannot go and oppose this application. My argument was that the magistrate made the ruling. The state can say that they're leaving it in the hands of the court.
You're saying for the Lushaba bail matter, the second magistrate refused to put the same condition that applied to the other accused the previous week, that they cannot go to the crime intelligence offices.
Correct, correct. And if I may just elaborate on that. When Mr. Lushaba did in fact go back to his office, there was great panic amongst Mr. Perumal, Advocate Johnson, and Mr. Padiachi, to a point where they even wanted me to do a Section 63 application against Mr. Lushaba in the housebreaking matter, and I refused.
So-
I said, on what basis? It's a Valeria docket, there's no witnesses from there. So on what basis are you supposed to do a Section 63 to prevent him from going to the office?
I think then the question Advocate Baloy was asking, this Section 63 that you were referring to was a Section 63 that IDEC wanted to bring. It was not the Section 63 relating to the parties in the earlier Mukwele bail.
With regards to the messages?
Yes.
No, at that point, Advocate Surunya, Advocate Shlaswayo, and I were not going to oppose the application in terms of Section 63 to relax the bail conditions in terms of Ms. Mukwele, Ms. Ngube, Mr. Kumalo, and Mr. Lekalakala, and one other, I can't remember who. And Advocate Johnson had instructed that it must happen. So in that conversation, she wanted me to take the instructions and discuss it with Advocate Surunya. We said there's no basis. 2 days later, we're getting an instruction based on Mr. Padiachi's affidavit, which is very good. We are opposing.
What Commissioner Kumalo wants to clarify is the Lushaba matter. Now you're in Lushaba. This Lushaba that you're talking about, it still relates to the Mukwele matter because
Correct.
his bail was not heard.
Correct.
So you go back another week for now just Lushaba. And
Correct.
that magistrate said, I'm not imposing those conditions.
Correct.
That were imposed on the other 5.
Correct. He in essence said that it's a violation of the employer's right to deal with disciplinary the way they see fit.
And then you go on to say that following that Lushaba appearance and refusal of the magistrate, General Lushaba went back to the office and there was panic on your people's side, and now you get an instruction to now bring a Section 63 in the laptop matter, in the standalone
Yes.
matter, and that's what you refuse to do.
Correct.
I think that's what Commissioner Kumela wanted to clarify.
And if you look at 610, that's where you say we do not have legal grounds to justify the application. So it seems like you're not talking about opposition here. You're talking about IDEC bringing the application, and you are saying you don't have legal grounds to bring the application.
It's a possibility that was the conversation
Yeah.
there. It is. I'm sorry, I'm trying to juggle 3 years of activities into comprehensive meetings. But I agree with Commissioner that it looks like that on the 9th, the instruction to bring the application on the standalone
Yes.
against Lushaba was the instruction at that point. And we said there was no legal grounds, correct?
Yes, thank you.
So that is why I'm asking the supplementary affidavit prepared by Mr. Padiachi. What was that referring to?
That was
That's on
in-
612.
That was in regards to the CI7, the Mukwele, Ngube, Kumalo, Lake Kalakala.
Okay, go to 612. So on 612, when Advocate Johnson says, I have read the supplementary prepared by Brian, it is very good. I expect all the prosecutors to meet tomorrow and make sure everything is sorted and that the arguments are ready. What was this for? Was this for the amendment on the Lushaba matter, or was it to oppose the CI7 application to amend their bail conditions?
This is to oppose. the
Was it
CIC.
happening at the same time?
Yes, because Mr. Lushaba went back to work or to the office around that time. So they were trying to use one case and bail conditions in the one case to fix what they considered was an error by the magistrate in the second case.
Okay, yes, it seems that you are correct. Advocate Poe says to me that that was in line with Advocate Sarunia's evidence as well. So Advocate Johnson's instruction to you initially, that message was to bring the 63 application in respect of the Lushaba matter, but when she says you must, on the 13th, that she's read the supplementary, that relates to the CI7.
Correct.
Okay. And so you meet and prepare which application then? So what are you preparing on the 14th of September?
On the 14th of September, while the teams was happening, Advocate Sarunia was going through Mr. Padiachi's affidavit and asking Mr. Padiachi and Mr. Perumal to explain each paragraph of the affidavit so that he could understand how it was going to be argued. And so that's how 3 hours went by. And then I excused myself at 5.
Okay. Then on page 613, if we can just deal with that on the 14th. So there on the 14th, now this was the day of the meeting, the team's meeting, and can you just read this message and tell us what's going on here? We know that it was a team's meeting.
Okay, but the last portion, my
It
reply
has been
there,
redacted,
It has been
yes.
redacted. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so on the 14th, Advocate Johnson sends me a message at 14:55. Drew, sorry to be a pain in the butt. Parliament has summoned the NDPP, and Madam expects me to go with. I need the bail conditions in writing of both matters. Can I please get copies of both charge sheets with bail conditions before close of business tomorrow? Can you email or WhatsApp to me, whichever is convenient? I hope Mom is doing a bit better. I reply, afternoon, Advocate Johnson. It's never a problem. I will forward leg 1 now and ask Joy to send leg 2 immediately. We are on Teams.
So you were still in that meeting?
Correct.
Okay. And so we'll speak, I am sitting and preparing the prep exco tomorrow on what we have to respond to. Now, this is while you're having the meeting and you're discussing the various applications and opposition to the applications. And what was Advocate Johnson requiring the bail conditions for purposes of the NDPP's appearance at Parliament? This was, I assume, at the ad hoc committee.
Looking at the date, yes, correct.
Okay.
My understanding is that there were questions in relation to the Mokwele matter at the ad hoc, but they wanted both charge sheets and bail conditions.
Okay, so, and she was just being asked by the NDPP to assist with that?
Correct.
Was she not aware of what the bail conditions were, or was she looking for a document that had it? Was that the only thing? She
No,
knew
Advocate
what
Johnson
it
was well aware of bail conditions on both. That's why she says, can I get copies of both charge sheets with bail conditions before close of business tomorrow? So it would have been the J15, the annexes to the charges, and the appearance sheets and the notes of the magistrates that she was looking for.
Okay. Then just one last issue before we get to the Medicare 24 is there is you'll recall that when you gave evidence the first time and you dealt with the missing section 27 and the email that you sent on the 9th of October 2025 setting out what had happened, that Advocate Johnson had given you the affidavit, you brought it back to her office, and you said that Advocate Johnson responded to your email via WhatsApp, and if she disagreed with your account of what happened, she would have said so. At the time, we didn't have that WhatsApp. We now do have it, and just for it to be placed on record at page 614, if you can read that into the record, just remembering that this is in response to your email of 9 October 2025.
Thank you. At 15:04, Advocate Johnson sends me a WhatsApp saying, "Drew, I saw your email and I will look in my office tomorrow. I might have made a mistake and told her that Chief called you today." When I spoke to the Chief, he was referring to you having the Section 27 initially, and that Tsepo spoke to you today. It was my mistake. Chief didn't say so. I reply, noted, Advocate Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you. And did Advocate Johnson get back to you as to whether she found the Section 27 in her office?
No, never
Okay.
did.
Sorry. And at this point, you are discussing which section 27? Is it the one that was presented before us or the one that references the PKTT complaints and others?
In the email and in this, there was, as I stated, my interpretation of why the commissioners and the chair ended up with this is that they were trying to make sure that the original, there was no copies of the original to show that there was PKTT. So they were alleging that I said I had misplaced it, which is why I responded in email in that manner. And Advocate Johnson replies in WhatsApp. And then when I see the 27 referral flighted here, in my head, I put two and two together as to why they were trying to scapegoat me with the 27 missing.
So the 27 referred to in this WhatsApp message, where she says, I made a mistake. She's referring to the one that you saw and had to give back to her.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Baloy, then it really is the last topic on this aspect. In your notes on file 11, page 59, because we are dealing with the topics and not going chronologically, I don't want to miss out on this point because it does fall under the Mokwele matter. Even though the timeline is June 2025 and we deal mainly in June 2025 with the Medicare 24 issue. This is your notes regarding a meeting on the 10th of June 2025 where you say it was, the ID was present, Joy, Sesoko, Charles, Pat, Brian, Dylan, and you. And you were discussing the project operation or project diversion. There is in the corner, in a block on the right-hand side, a reference to somebody's name. You'll tell us who that person is, and in charge of vetting. I just want you to address the commissioners on that note.
This is a meeting that's called by the ID to discuss the takedown. Before I get to that block, can I just, the reason I want to just discuss this portion is it will also explain how this block happened. So Advocate Johnson, who is the head of office, who's not on the ground doing investigations, is now informing the prosecutors and the investigators where accused number 3, Mr. Hudson, must be picked up from. Meaning when the team goes to arrest him, they must arrest him from his home because he works at a safe house. These are now the instructions from Advocate Johnson.
This is where you say, what is that word where you say something for Thursday?
Aim for Thursday.
Aim for Thursday. So you're aiming for J50 Thursday?
Correct.
And she's telling you, she's now setting out what is to happen to the accused when the arrests are executed.
Correct,
Okay.
because at that point, all the arrests that I had been involved in IDAC, we would phone the suspect or the accused person, and we would ask either for the legal representative's number, or we would speak directly to them. Being the lead investigator would do that. It's called call a friend. That's what we call it.
It's called?
Call a friend.
I see.
So we would say call a friend. We'd call them and inform them, listen, please hand yourself over at the police station at 6 o'clock on Friday morning, so that you are processed and taken to court. We are not opposing bail. Please ensure that you have your legal representation present so that the bail can proceed. That is how, in my experience in the past 4 years, almost 4 years, that is how it's been done with the investigators. Here, they are arresting on the Thursday.
Sorry, and ordinarily, has the ID been involved in that call a friend decision? When you get to that point, does she give instructions? Now you must go arrest and call them, call a friend and tell them to present.
If I may just give an example. So the ID chooses which project she gets involved in when it comes down to takedown. So in the 2023 27 referral, when everything was complete and we were ready now to enroll the matter. Like I said, I had a very strong deputy director, but even he couldn't stand up to Advocate Johnson. And there was plans to go and arrest the suspect and drive the suspect for 6 hours so that they can appear in Pretoria. And I'm saying to them that this person is an elderly person with comorbidities. It can never happen that way. You cannot put them in the back of the car to drive them, especially for something that happened in 2014. So eventually, the deputy director and I got very frustrated, and because they wanted to make a spectacle of the arrests. They wanted flash and lights of cameras, and so eventually the deputy director and myself went to Mr. Sesoko, and we said, please go and speak to Advocate Johnson on our behalf, because this arrest cannot take place this way. So here, there was no, I think from the evidence the commission has heard thus far, no matter what was said during this project, what Advocate Johnson and what Mr. Perumal wanted was done. So there was no reasoning. So they were planning to arrest on Thursday to appear on the Friday. Advocate Johnson was asking where Lushaba was going to be picked up from. Then Advocate Johnson was advising that Hudson must be picked up and taken to the station for processing from his home because he works at a safe house, and that they had to figure out where Eugene was because he's traveling a lot and he's medically boarded off or something, so he's not permanently within crime intelligence anymore.
This list is the Lushaba matter?
Correct.
Okay.
Now going to the block that I had explained to Advocate Ncube. So we in Advocate Johnson's office, and we're sitting at the boardroom table and we're discussing. Advocate Johnson is now giving instructions about what must happen in the third week, because remember, every second week she wanted arrests. Advocate Johnson looks at me and she says, "Drew, you'll be embarrassed to be Indian." So I was taken aback because I was busy taking notes, and I didn't know that they were talking about the person who's acting as in Mr. Khan's place. It's a Miss Krishna Dutt.
General Khan's position, yes.
Correct. It's a Miss Krishna Dutt.
Brigadier Krishna Dutt.
Thank you. So Advocate Johnson says, "Drew, you'll be embarrassed to be Indian. The way she walks around talking to the staff, you'll be embarrassed." And then I'm told that I must, when I'm getting to the point of enroll or looking at the evidence for the vetting, because Brigadier Krishna Dutt is acting in as the head of the vetting department at the moment, I must look if there's evidence to charge Krishna Dutt.
As part of CI7 in the Mukwele matter.
Either CI7 or the other two.
Okay, so one of the vetting matters.
That is why it's there in that block the way it is.
And who is Brigadier Krishna Dutt?
So from that conversation in Advocate Johnson's office, Advocate Johnson then said, when she was explaining how Brigadier Krishna Dutt speaks to the staff and why I'd be embarrassed and all of that, she indicated Junaid is reporting to her. So at that time, I already knew that Junaid is Mr. Johnson, Advocate Johnson's husband.
And the issue with Brigadier Krishna Dutt is that she was promoted to brigadier before Brigadier Johnson.
I came to learn that after, when I was inquiring as to what exactly is up with, because it's the first time I'm hearing the name. We now already almost 6 months into the investigation. It's not on the 2830, and I'm being told to look for. But the manner in which it was explained in the office about being embarrassed and the way the brigadier speaks to her staff and the screaming, etc.
And Brigadier Krishna Dutt hadn't come up in any of the previous meetings, any documentation regarding any of the matters at that stage?
No, in fact, Mr. Perumal called me later that evening after this meeting, or maybe later that week, but after this meeting. And he said to me, "Hey, Dee, I looked, but I can't find any evidence against Krishna Dutt."
And did Advocate Johnson give an indication as to where she was getting this information? Was it pillow talk or was it coming from General Khan?
I cannot answer that. I had my own ideas because of, my own assumptions because of the way the investigation was being done. And the fact that in every single meeting, Advocate Johnson would refer to Mr. Khan. Either Mr. Khan messaged or
General Khan, you mean?
General Khan. Or that Mr. Perumal had spoken to General Khan.
Okay. Thank you for indulging me on those matters. Yes.
Are you going to be coming back to this page 59?
No, Commissioner Baloyi, I have strict instructions to move on to the next topic, so you may go ahead.
Okay. Still at that page 59, just to complete and make sure that I don't draw my own conclusions, what it means. So you have, in the next subheading, you have third week off, and you have names, you have Ntsiya might come in after Ncube, no Ntsiya, Madondo, Mukwele. Was this the next set of people you were required to arrest?
Commissioner Baloyi, in this paragraph, I'm told that there's member of crime intelligence called Nsia, who might be willing to talk.
I see.
And this is coming from Advocate Johnson.
And then the next one, that's really what I'm interested in, which you have an asterisk next to it. You have J50, tell somebody that I can read, equals message, NDPP, reply, and then go. What is this note about?
Okay, Advocate Johnson had indicated that this is how she expected the arrests to happen. Once the J50s were authorized, I was to inform her. From there, she would then message the NDPP that there's a takedown from IDAC happening. And then once the NDPP replied, all the teams that were set to do the arrests were then to go.
Okay.
And so that's how the...
And NDPP being Ms. Advocate Shamila Batoyi at this stage?
Correct, Advocate Batoyi.
And was that kind of report notifying the NDPP, was that standard practice? Is that how it worked? When you do takedowns, did you forewarn the National Director of Public Prosecutions?
I only know of 2 instances. Apologize. I know of 2 instances. The 2023 and this one.
In the others, I mean, you know more than 3 matters since you've been there.
and what happened there and the issue that you raised. For that, can we go to page 586 of 10 part 2, file 10 part 2. And we'll start at the bottom of the page, where Mr. Pariachi on the 28th of January 2026 sends an email to you and Mr. Perumal with the subject A28 affidavit, Major General F. Khan. Hi, Drew, please find copy of A28 affidavit of Major General Khan. Why was he sending you this email, the affidavit?
There was a meeting, because the investigators were not gelling with the prosecutors, Advocate Johnson instructed that we were supposed to meet once a week. Even though the matters were already in court, we were supposed to meet once a week and discuss. So on that particular day, so we were supposed to be in court that Thursday or Friday for the Legwandu Shaba matter. And in that meeting, I discovered that there's a statement that's commissioned in September 2025. I've not been provided. A defense has not been provided with the statement, and I've already replied to request for further particulars on 3 of the 4 accused. So I was highly annoyed.
Sorry, I just wanted to know, he was sending you the affidavit following a meeting that was held?
Correct.
Where they said that there was the statement?
Because we were going through the annexure, or the A's, and I said, but where does A28 come from? Because, I'm sorry, I don't have an A28, and that's how it came about.
Okay, so he sends it to you, and then you respond on the top of page 586. And if you can perhaps just read to us what your response is, because I think it's important to place in context that this is now the affidavit of Major General Khan, which has not been disclosed to the accused.
Correct.
After you had made discovery.
Correct. Good day, Advocate Surunya, Mr. Sissoko and team. I have discussed this with DDPP Surunya. It is distressing that we are being made aware of and receiving an affidavit that was commissioned in September 2025, only today, and it creates problems at court. If the prosecutors were made aware of it, we could have disclosed it in October 2025, December 2025, when we replied to the request for further particulars. We are now going to give disclosure on the day we receive representations made to NDPP. This in itself is going to be a problem, as they are now going to say we withheld a statement, did not make a full disclosure, and they need to consult and possibly redraft the representations. Inasmuch as this is a prosecution-led environment, we need to work as a team.
Can you just move closer to the microphone again?
We need to work as a team. And that means prosecutors must be made aware of these developments. I am now faced with explaining why an affidavit commissioned in September 2025 is being disclosed in January 2026 at court tomorrow, and thus we will be blamed for delaying the matter in court tomorrow.
Then there's a response from Mr. Pariachi on page 585 at the top of page 5.
I am in PMB at DPP, Advocate Harris's office. I will be back tonight. I am also very tired of hearing about prosecution-led investigations when we are not following PLI to the letter.
He probably means to the letter. You're not following prosecution-led investigations to the letter. Yeah.
Correct. I am also confused that since September 2025, Advocate Drew has not seen the affidavit. How did this happen? I recall that Charles went to get it from him after a full discussion by the team, excuse me, that such should be obtained. Let's get together tomorrow after court, please. Pat and Charles are in Kimberley. Pat, please ask Greg Tate to arrange for a quiet spot at the provincial office so that the two of you can link up with us for the meeting. Tsepo, kindly confirm I think it's coordination with them on the time so that they plan and make time to join us. Regards, Chief Perumal.
And then you respond to that at the top to say that Charles provided you with 2 handwritten uncommissioned statements of A5 and his crew. You were not furnished with the A28.
Correct.
Okay. So at that stage, none of the prosecutors had seen the A28?
Correct.
Okay. Was this the only affidavit, only General Khan's affidavit that had not been disclosed to the defense? Do you just have to explain this email from Advocate Johnson? It's a response to you regarding what happened at court, and then you say to Advocate Johnson that you have told the accused representative in the Lushaba matter they intend making representations, and you said to them they'll make the representations to the NDPP, right? Advocate Johnson is upset by that.
So there was a conversation between myself and Mr. Lushaba and Mr. Makhashwa's advocate. He indicated that he intended on making representations about the matter to the NDPP. And that he did indicate that part of it was a complaint against Advocate Johnson. We then agreed that we'll postpone the matter for outcomes of representations to the NDPP. This did not sit well with Advocate Johnson, Mr. Perumal, and Mr. Padiachi, but also it became clearer later on that this became a bigger issue than it needed to be because they needed to find a way to remove me. But Advocate Johnson indicates that representations come to IDAC, to my office, gets a copy immediately. You and the team draft a response for the ID within 2 weeks of receipt. Submit that to the ID's office for perusal and engagement from the team. Response must be sent to defense no later than the last day of February 2026. I then informed, despite the fact that I had communicated with the advocate previously, I foresaw where this was going. I then
Well, can I just ask you about the line above the red writing where Advocate Johnson says, correct this today as we have a new NDPP starting on Monday and I don't want confusion on what is going there like we don't know what we are doing. Is your understanding that representations by accused persons are made to IDAC or to the NDPP?
Sometimes representations come to IDAC, sometimes they go to the NDPP, but in the normal course, so if you have to look at the regional court structure, representations would go to the SPP, and if the accused or his defense is unhappy with the reply from the SPP, it would go to the chief prosecutor, and then if that is a problem then, or a disagreement, it would go to the DPP of that jurisdiction. Here we have the ID who is making the decisions and authorizing the investigations and the prosecution. So my understanding would be that it would, in line of that, in terms of the policy of our, it should go to the NDPP. But more specifically so because the advocate had clearly informed me that his clients had instructed that they were questioning Advocate Johnson's involvement.
Page 592 of the bundle. This is, you send a letter then to an email to General Lushaba's legal representative saying, after having spoken to my senior, representations must go to Advocate Johnson. That is on page 593.
Correct.
You say, good day, sir. We note that you intend to make representations to the NDPP. However, upon consultation with my senior, please note the processes of representations. It must be sent to IDAC head, Advocate Johnson. Should it be refused or your client be unhappy with the outcome, representations may then be made to the NDPP. Trust you find in order. They respond and say, you can start from firstly,
IDAC is not party to the court proceedings. The matter is between our client and the National Prosecuting Authority, which has prosecuted charges against our clients and not IDAC. It is therefore the National Prosecuting Authority that must decide on the future of the court matters. Secondly, the head of IDAC has commented on the evidence that the National Prosecuting Authority intends to present against our clients during trial proceedings, and in the process contradicted some pieces of evidence that was disclosed to the defense. This is also a point of contention in our representations. It is for this reason that in our understanding of conflict of interest, even if the process directed that representations be addressed to the head of IDAC, that such would not be an appropriate action.
The cutoff, we hope that you will find the above in good order. And what comments were these by Advocate Johnson? Because they're referring to, this is January 2026. Do you know what, was it the ad hoc committee?
It was evidence at the ad hoc committee. I'm unsure of what the averments were. I do remember reading them in the representations, but I also am not allowed to make those available.
Okay. Chair, that concludes this topic unless the commissioners have anything for the witness on the Mokwele matter. I want to move on to Medicare 24 after lunch. But there may be aspects of the Mokwele matter that may arise during the Medicare 24 matter anyway, because of the timeline, there's an overlap. So Commissioner Baloy doesn't have to stress that I'm I'm prohibiting her from dealing with the Mokwele matter. There will be in the notes reference to it, but my main focus is going to be on Medicare 24.
Let's adjourn and resume at 2 p.m.
memory stick with a whole lot of information regarding, amongst others, Operation Diversion, which is information that was in the possession of Mr. Pariachi.
Correct.
And some of the documents that you've provided the Commission was on that stick, which you understood to be a stick that was Mr. Pariachi's information, his information. One of the documents that you found on there was an unsigned affidavit, or a document that appears to be what would have been an affidavit by Mr. Perumal regarding the Nkabinde issue.
Yes.
And I recall your evidence being that you had seen this affidavit at some stage, and it contradicted, although it's not signed, it contradicted Advocate Johnson's version regarding the call with Mr. Nkabinde, where Advocate Johnson told you that she had received a call from Mr. Nkabinde, but the draft affidavit of Mr. Perumal showed that Advocate Johnson was the one that called Mr. Nkabinde.
And put him on speaker, correct?
And put it on speaker.
Yes.
I just want to deal with that affidavit, and again, just prefacing it by saying that it is an unsigned document which you found on his end. When we look at the document properties, which will be provided, shows that the author is Mr. Dylan Perumal.
Correct.
And if we could just deal with a few paragraphs of that statement. The first is paragraph 2 on page 422, where he says, on 22nd January 2025 at about 12 o'clock, a confidential meeting was convened by the investigating director, Advocate Johnson. The meeting was attended by Mr. Sosoko, Advocate Ramsamy, senior investigators, Pariachi, Rapesu, and I. This is now that meeting that we've dealt with, right?
The first meeting with the presentation, correct?
Yes. He then says, during the ensuing meeting, Mr. Sesoko informed the ID that criminal investigations were conducted against Mr. Cedric Nkabinde while he and SI Rapesu, senior investigator Rapesu, were based in the IPID. Mr. Sesoko also advised the ID that SI Rapesu has evidence in that regard, adding that Mr. Nkabinde was declared to be an untruthful witness in a court proceeding. If we can just pause there, what I noticed is that he doesn't deal with how it came about that Mr. Nkabinde was discussed, became a topic of discussion. You say that it was the ID, Advocate Johnson, who initiated that discussion because of an encounter that she had a day or two prior with Mr. Nkabinde while she was waiting for the minister at his residence for a meeting.
Correct. As per my 1st April 2025 affidavit, I set out that after the presentation, Advocate Johnson had indicated that she had had a meeting with the minister at his residence the evening before, and that she was left alone with Mr. Nkabinde for an extended period of time. And he gave her the heebie-jeebies, and that's how the conversation about Mr. Nkabinde and the investigation started. With regards to this paragraph, the investigation relating to Mr. Nkabinde, those two dockets, sorry, are not held by Mr. Rapesu, nor is he part of that investigation. The one docket is in court for trial in Palm Ridge. He is an investigator formerly of IPID, Mr. Timani Benang, and the other investigation is one of Mr. Belochan,
yes,
which is in the High Court, yes.
Yes, and so there's no explanation, like I said, as to how the topic came about, and also how Mr. Sesoko and Mr. Rapesu actually then volunteered this information that they had on Mr. Nkabinde.
Correct.
Importantly, at 2.2, it stated, the ID then directed that SI Pariachi should conduct an investigation in relation to the allegations made involving Mr. Nkabinde. Now, you put it a bit softer than that. You said it was more just gathering facts and that the ID was doing at that stage. But he seems to already say that at that stage, or would it have been in a separate meeting that the ID then directed Mr. Pariachi to conduct an investigation?
As per the WhatsApps that was previously displayed, as well as the affidavit, my affidavit from the 1st of April, it was when Advocate Johnson had required or sent me a message saying that she had just seen the minister and that we need to move ASAP on the Nkabinde thing. It was at that point that Advocate Johnson, so in that meeting, it was only myself, Advocate Johnson, Mr. Perumal, and Mr. Sissoko.
This is now not the meeting of 22 January. This is another meeting,
It's
the 23 January.
23 January.
Yes.
23 January, according to the WhatsApps. In that meeting, Mr. Perumal indicated that Mr. Belochin can continue with the investigation on Mr. Nkabinde. And then the other investigation was with Mr. Binang at the time. So it was a discussion about that. And Mr. Sissoko said that he doesn't think that anyone from IPID or Mr. Perumal's team must actually continue with the investigation, that a neutral IDAC investigator must deal with the investigation into Mr. Nkabinde. And it was at that point that Advocate Johnson said, Mr. Padiachi will do the investigation.
Then at 423 paragraph 3, it stated, on the morning of 30 January 2025, SI Padiachi and I held a meeting with the ID with regard to another investigation. The ID during this meeting informed us that Mr. Nkabinde had tried to contact her the previous evening while she was at religious prayers and she was not in a position at the time to take his calls. She explained that she had sent him text messages in that regard. Mr. Nkabinde had also tried calling on the morning of the 30th of January 2025. Now, were you aware of this?
So the version that was given to me by Advocate Johnson is that Mr. Nkabinde did try to call her the night before. She couldn't answer because she was at the temple. However, by chance, Mr. Nkabinde called while Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi were in her office. And so she answered and she put him on speaker. And in fact, in that meeting, she said, you know me, Drew, you know, I don't even take calls and I don't even put it on loudspeaker, but by chance on that day, by God's grace, I put it on speaker. And so that's how she explained it to me on the 30th.
Okay, and at 3.1, he says, I then informed the ID that Mr. Nkabinde contacted me the previous evening to inquire on how investigations were progressing regarding SAP's crime intelligence matters. I advised him that we were making steady progress and our conversation ended there. Mr. Nkabinde had been assisting in the investigation purely from an intelligence and information perspective in a bid to address the alleged criminality within the Crime Intelligence Division of the SAPS. Were you aware that Mr. Nkabinde was a source of intelligence for Mr. Perumal regarding the investigations, crime intelligence investigations?
No, until I saw this paragraph 3.1 a couple of weeks ago. I did not know Mr. Nkabinde. Also, when I read it, I was trying to figure out how a chief of staff would be a source of information, because that's an informant.
At this stage, you were, however, aware that from the forklift